should we contextualize it maybe in terms of maybe career, or is it just general pursuits?
Can you equate reality with meaning, or can you say meaning is reality?
It's a very interesting question. I'm personally at a time where have you ever sat and just everything occurs to you and you're like, what's the point of all this? What's the point of it all? What's the meaning of everything? Why do you do the things that you do? Why does it even matter? Why do you even need to ask if there's a point that you need to make behind it?
Yeah, at the end, is it all worth it?
Yeah,
or
it's
rather,
really the question. It's the question about meaning.
Yeah,
meaning. So sometimes when you sit and think of what meaning means, I mean, it's a question that I'd say from a very personal perspective, it's something you can never get to answer, or if you to actually answer it. You still find there are spirals down.
But it depends.
Mm-hmm.
From my end, I'm like, when asking that question, like, what's meaning? Most of us wait for like just a definite answer. What if the answer is indefinite? The idea is like meaning can like showcast itself in indefinite ways, such that if you take a moment, let's say like a moment in time, and try to like define meaning of that, you can never really get it and define it to just one context, or rather one fact, because it's something which is ever evolving. It's always going. It's something which is, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you intend to mean?
Let me ask you. Everyone. Do we as human beings, can we really say that, for me, meaning is this, or do we get to define meaning according to our own terms?
Oh, that's quite an interesting question.
Or rather, can you say, for me, meaning is this, then person B says, but for me, meaning is this. Is
But,
that, yeah.
So, okay, let's give an example, yeah? Assuming, say, should we contextualize it maybe in terms of maybe career, or is it just general pursuits?
I'd
How
say,
can we contextualize it?
First, there is this idea, when dealing with something like meaning, which has it's indefinite, you can only pinpoint what it's not. Rather, let it play out in its diverse ways. It's like a tree growing. It has various branches and leaves which come of it. But rather, stop trying to pinpoint or define it into factual things, something like this is it, nothing else. Rather, look it from a point of this is not meaning, or rather this is a low form of meaning, something like that.
But let's take an example of two people, yeah? So you have say for example, wewe umechagua to marry na mimi nimechagua nisimari.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean that the concept of marriage isn't part of the equation of meaning, or how can we say that each of us maybe we're pursuing our own kinds of meanings? Unanipata? So, for example, we hear a lot of people wanasemanga maneno ya marriage, they don't want it. Like they want to live celibate lives. But others feel like marriage is something that can actually unlock things that, potentials inside them that are actually quite impossible ukiamua kuishi a celibate life.
Yeah.
Ati watoto, for example, making the choice of actually getting watoi, it's something that is so profound, and you get to enjoy the experience of life in ways that you can't ukiwa celibate, hata ukiamua kuadopt. So it seems ni kama there's a layer of certain meaning in both contexts that I think because if you make the proposition that one seems to be superior than the other, it that will actually mean that ni kama sisi binadamu wote we need to go down that path ya marriage, for example, unaona, whereas ukiangalia reality, how reality has been shaped.
That's why I posed to the table that meaning can't be defined in one factual thesis.
Okay, okay. So this is someone who is married. Ameamua kupursue. So assuming maybe the wife is a doctor and the guy maybe is a business person, all right? And you have someone who is celibate, mwenye, if we are talking really about sex, anaweza pata sex vile anataka. Well, celibate means maybe umejifungia, you don't want to have sex.
But is meaning be, let's say you've brought up the context of meaning in a marriage. That's right, isn't it? Does it mean all human beings who like get into marriage are looking for meaning in marriage? Or rather, what are the drives that take us to marriage? What are the motivations that bring us to marriage?
Well, there could be...
You can't say, like the example which you have given about sex, somebody who is celibate can just have sex, but is meaning sex?
Ama is sex meaning?
Yeah.
Wow. So I think okay, we can just hanging at that as we try to think about.
Before you continue, I think we can let's discuss meaning from overall point. What is it, or rather, why does it drive us?
Or why is it even important to ask the question of meaning?
And
is it a question?
Why should I pursue meaning in everything I do? Why can't I just do whatever I feel like in any pursuit? And are some kind of pursuit lacking meaning?
Okay.
Or rather, are other pursuits in the hierarchy of pursuits? Can other pursuits give you higher meaning than other pursuits?
Wow. Okay. So we could borrow from history itself. Yeah. So for example, in Judeo-Christian tradition, so biblically speaking, it seems to me, for example, if we're talking about the patriarchs mainly, the fathers, starting with Noah himself, bringing it to Abraham, akina Joseph, it seems to me kama the way they understood how life and reality in general is, I don't think we really have a conception of that anymore, because it seems ni kama everything they sought out to do was sort of either anchored or grounded to, I don't know how best to put it.
It's
question. Like they knew what they were doing. Nowadays, can you say wewe unajua chenye unafanya? Can you?
Yes,
even in your career?
Yes, somehow.
We actually sort of put bets, ni kama tuna stake vitu. Tunasema, let me just try this out and see where it's gonna lead me.
I have there is something which you have said that really caught me. You said that the stories, the biblical stories, they pursued, they knew what reality was.
I'd say so.
Can you equate reality with meaning? Or can you say meaning is reality?
Oh, wow. It's a very interesting question.
Let's say I'm here and I have an endeavor which I want to pursue. What should guide me? Or rather, you've said that they knew what reality is. Let's say I'm at point A, I want to get to point B, and it's from this preposition that I'm in a quest and I know what reality is. It's like me knowing what reality is back then. It's like the concept of time is kind of like constant. The way they say that reality or rather meaning now is the same as tomorrow, like that, but everything is changing on and on. So
meaning doesn't change, but it's our perspective and maybe the actions that we take.
You're saying that
that's interesting.
The earlier forefathers anchored their lives in reality. that means reality is something which is there and
waiting.
can never
It's like
change.
saying, it's actually like saying the answers we're looking for are already set in stone, so to say, but it's the kind of questions that so for example, we normally talk of possibilities and probabilities. As we are seated right now, whatever choices we make, it could lead to different outcomes. Like there's just an infinite possibility to what we outcomes. Can do. But so you see,
among those infinite possibilities of outcomes, there is something which is like constant regardless.
What is that?
I think now it's the question of reality and meaning.
Okay. And it seems like okay, if there's something,
can I bring up the story of the alchemist?
Okay.
You've read that book?
Yes, I have.
The way he goes out of these quests to like find the hidden treasures, these adventures he goes to, as in he gets lost, he goes into worlds he has never seen, he goes, many things happens to him, and at the end he's like, these limitless things that were happening to me, there was something constant about it.
And what was that according to the alchemist?
For him, he was like the truth in your heart, or rather the voice in your heart.
The moment you say the truth in your heart,
rather I'm equating truth, meaning, and reality to be the same thing. Rather,
oh wow.
When you say you've posed the idea that our forefathers like Abraham, the figures of the Bible, they kind of knew what this reality is. How do I get to like understand meaning without my perception of it? Or rather, I like the way you always say, can I understand something without is something real without me
my conception
of it, of my perception?
Yeah, actually, for example, this table in itself, it's an object that bears no meaning until, we describe it as a table or as a chair.
But is it a table without my description of it?
No, it's not. It's not an object with meaning, really, if you actually think about it. Because anytime you think of what a table or a chair is, you define it through a certain lens, specific characteristics, specific aspects that define what a chair is. But without our concept, without those characteristics, it has no meaning.
You've said that you define it through a certain lens. When it comes to meaning, everyone has their own lens. How do you like say the meaning, or rather whatever you're searching in an endeavor you're taking, let's say it's career-wise, marriage,
relationships,
religion, all of it. How do we say this is not the reality and this is? Or rather, what lens? You've said that we can say this is a table through the lenses, or rather what was taught us. That's like a lens that was inputted into us. Can we call this a table without you being told that it's a table?
Yes, I think you're asking one of the ways in which, especially sisi binadamu, the way we learn, we like to think that we learn through defining the definitions of things, but how we actually learn is through observation and through imitation. I think as we grow up, we get to understand some of these objects, let me call them objects for lack of a better word. So some of these objects, and we relate them kulingana na vile the environment has been shaped. But now, since the question of meaning itself is very, very subjective, there is something you said.
Is it subjective?
But yes.
How?
Because I don't know if saying it's objective is the right way to look at it. I'm really not sure.
I think it's objective.
Okay, we can borrow from such concepts such as faith. Is faith subjective or objective? Okay, how are we to understand what something which
like
is subjective
faith,
is? How are we, or love, or what else? God himself? Are we to think of them as, using those definitions of subjectivity and
Just
objectivity?
because something is subjective doesn't mean that it can be like the way you're saying, being factualized, something like that, or rather.
I think as far as we can, because kulingana to, let me now, this is where we now infer science. So kulingana na what the principles of scientific thought require, something that is objective is actually something that is factual, and something that is factual is something that we can perceive through our our senses.
Is meaning factual?
It's factual. It's factual on a subjective realm.
Which realm?
But now that's the question. I think that's the problem, because generally speaking, anytime we use most of the words or most of the definitions that we use are really heavily dependent on what we know or what we can know, and anytime we think of what we can know, we simply infer science. So for example, it has always been the question if God is real. I think that's the greatest existential question that mankind has asked.
Is reality always been pointed to like science definitions? Because when you say that, let's say talking about meaning, let's say career wise, it's factual for me to like look at a career path that's trending right now and assume that it will be the hot cake when like,
or it's the one thing that will sustain you for all the days of your life.
Can our careers sustain us throughout? Do our marriages sustain us throughout? Do they give us meaning throughout? Or rather these ideals which we are out here wanting to get a name out of?
I don't think so. I think career cannot give you meaning, but meaning can give you a career. A marriage can't give you meaning, but meaning can give you a marriage.
Yeah, true.
Even the whole concept of faith itself. I know, okay, this is going to be a little bit controversial, but I think the way we perceive something like Christianity, I don't want to mention any other religion, but Christianity itself, the way most of us perceive Christianity is an error. And now that we're having a conversation about meaning, I don't think we really understand because understanding Christianity itself actually gives us the answers we're looking for in meaning.
Pardon?
Understanding Christianity itself. It's like saying understanding Christianity is equal to meaning itself.
Yeah, but understanding.
Because if at all, now I'm looking at it in this lens. Even if we are to borrow principles from scientific thought, that we can actually, if something cannot be presently tested, experimented, quantified, and all that, the next best evidence that we infer is historical evidence.
Yeah, true.
And of course, there is contention to the person of, say, for example, Jesus Christ, because I don't think there's a religion that claims what Christianity claims. Throughout history, you realize that people are always asking for a God. The Israelites themselves, from the Bible, right from the Bible itself. So it came a time that now Israelites didn't want God as their king. They were now demanding a king. Unaona? And it's because sasa hawako wanataka ati someone who is just there in the sky, who sort of talks to one person and gives them stone tablets to follow laws and rules and stuff like that. So there's something that happened there. There was, let me call it a disconnect, that now even, according to the record of the Bible, now God decided to now allow the Israelites, sort of do their own thing or find their own meaning, kulingana na their perspective, their reality.
Can you find your own meaning? That's the like what you're grappling about.
I'm very, very biased.
Your perception of meaning and what meaning really is.
I'm really biased saying whatever I'm saying, because I am actually looking at this whole thing, even the question of meaning itself.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from a point of an understanding of what Christianity actually is. Because it seems to me that, so going back to the biblical context, history, the Israelites, even pre-Hebrew traditions and stuff like that, right from the beginning, the onset of civilization itself, ukiangalia the claim that is being made right from the Garden of Eden, it seems like that reality was, let me call it, so perfect. I think Adam and Eve, they knew reality as it is, and they lived in a kind of, let me just say, a reality that I don't think we can really have a conception after the fall. After the fall.
What can you call that living after the fall? Is it reality?
It's reality in the sense that I think now they deviated from this question of what meaning actually is.
Yeah.
Because if you think about what is constant,
from that story, there is something which is coming up. It's like anytime you deviate from what meaning is, you always get...
Actually, it's not even about deviating from what meaning is. It's deviating from the pursuit of what meaning is. Yeah. That journey itself.
Yeah, it's about...
the moment you stop asking questions, the moment, because I think Adam and Eve, to them, what reality is, I'm not saying was, what reality is, I think all the answers that they could have probably needed were actually there. They were real to them. They experienced those answers.
Why did they not see that this is the answer?
Now that's the question of what most of us tend to think of as free will. No, the choices... Now, this brings us to something else. I think meaning is also tied to free will and the choices that we make. But free will and choices themselves, the way we think about them, we tend to think in terms of this is good and this is evil. Yeah. So it is up to us to now decide, I'm going to choose this, and maybe... I'm just going to choose this.
Yeah.
But if you actually really, really think about it, it's as if how reality has been set. Even the question of good and evil itself, I don't think it's something that warrants our perception of it. Good, it's law.
It's law.
Let me say it's law. That if you decide to choose otherwise, you're literally breaking laws.
That's what I think meaning, or rather reality, is.
Okay.
It's there without our perception. It's now a question of how are you in align with it.
Okay, so far so good. We have now equated a few things together. We are saying, number one, meaning is equated to good and evil.
Reality
is also equated to reality,
and it's there without our perception of it.
Okay. Wow. So now,
I'm not trying to bash people who say, for me, I find meaning, or rather, I find meaning in my career. Rather, there's something special you've just said, that marriage can't give you meaning, but meaning
the pursuit of meaning itself
can give you marriage. Yeah, I love that idea.
It's also like saying,
but mostly in this generation which we are in, we are reversing it, and we are equating. We are searching for meaning in marriage.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? Or rather, searching for meaning in a career.
Okay. I wouldn't really say that it's wrong, because, again, I'm putting it out there that I am very biased in my my perception of it. So it seems to me, even in a fallen state, using the claim of the Bible, even in a fallen state, there are other kinds of institutions, or let me call them provisions, of our reality, so to say, that can help us, that can actually help us,
remove us from that fallen
even
state,
and keep understanding meaning itself. Now, let me focus that. in this
I have
sense.
an idea.
Uh-huh.
I think that statement was wrong. Like searching for meaning in marriage, or rather,
It's not entirely wrong.
yeah,
Now,
but
allow me.
it's about how you seeing it, or rather, how you looking at things.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
'Cause-
That is the word.
You can start from a point of like searching for meaning in marriage, and end up being correct.
Yes, that is why I was actually before you cut me short. I was bringing in the idea that even in a fallen state,
Yeah.
you see the institutions that we mankind have developed throughout history. So, for example, the institution of marriage, the institution of education, the institution of leadership and governance, the institution of
Can we say right now all these institutions are in a kind of a fallen state?
yes. You know, it actually reminds me. Yes, I'd say it's actually
Education,
a consequence
religion.
of it's a consequence of our fallen. Now, this is if we are to make the claim and actually decide that the biblical claim is true. Now, this is the sense. Yeah. Even in a fallen state, it seems to me ni kama hizi institutions zenyewe they are actually allowing us to sort of come back or find the essence of why we're actually here.
I've always had
and that is what we call God's mercy.
Yeah, I've always had it's kind of faith. You're redeemed through the idea of Jesus Christ. It's like you have not yet met the caliber of like attaining it, but through God you're redeemed from the fallen state. It's like the verse which says, my words are like light to the life of a fool, something like that.
Oh yeah, light to my path.
It means a fool person, ule mtu
A
unaonaga,
foolish
yeah,
person.
if he just follows whatever is written in the Bible, actually believe the Bible is like, it's stating what meaning really is. It's like, even in your fallen state, it will uplift you.
Yes, which is true.
So
that is if we are to take unaona sasa the
Yeah.
context of the whole Bible itself, the message of the Bible, the word of God. I think Joshua ni alisema, as for me and my house we will serve the Lord. And these patriarchs always made the supreme pursuit to be the word of God, like listening to the word of God. And now let me ask you.
Yeah.
So does it mean that meaning can't be found outside the whole concept of faith or God and stuff?
No.
Does it mean
there
that?
is nowhere you can't find meaning?
Now, do you see now where I was bringing my point towards? The institutions that we've developed, they're actually bringing us back to understanding what. Now, for example, there's a statement. Let me read you a statement here. It's from, let's borrow from the Greeks. Yeah, Socrates alisema, the unexamined life is not worth living. Now, we don't suppose that Socrates was a Christian or was a Hebrew ama alikuwa anajua the one true God, so to say.
Actually,
we don't suppose
I'd
that,
equate Christianity as a term. It's what you're fighting. It's like religion. You're fighting authority. There is this where I got. There is a guy nearly. I got. He says this. Jesus came to fight authority, but then that time, the authority that was the Jews and the Iso Nini.
Jesus came to fight authority. Okay, established authority. Actually, we can think of established
It's like
authority.
people who think that they can kind of own that meaning. You see, that's the problem, or rather, I'd say the reason why we are saying this institution are like in a fallen state. It's like people who are in education think that they own that education. People
they like tell us this is what there
yeah,
is. There
this
can't
is what
be anything.
it's like the idea.
Okay.
If you want to teach a child to do something, don't tell them what it is, rather show them how to know what it is. teach people how to think, not what to think.
Oh wow.
So it's
That's
like this is institution. They kind of they are telling us this is it. Education,
Science,
leadership,
governance.
religion, leadership. They think that they own that authority.
I think that's the same error that we who claim to be Christians, that's also the same error that we make.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, okay, it's not about, it's one thing to claim to be an authority in truth, and it's another to show how exactly
the truth
it actually
authority.
is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the preposition of a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
He acts as a guide. As in, you see, it's like he's equated to a figure such that he gives you freedom to do whatever you want, but anytime you steer, gets you. Yeah, but he doesn't show you like your destiny anything like that.
Like the story of the prodigal son. You want your inheritance, just go and let's see where it leads you.
Yeah, and it's like he lets you go find it for yourself.
But let me ask, this is a very interesting question, but I know this is something.
Just a minute, so we can establish that meaning is something that you find for your own self. Nobody can.
Wait, umesema meaning is something you find for yourself.
Yeah.
It's something that you find where mwenyewe ni wewe utaipata.
Yeah. Now the problem is, do not equate that to like your perception of it.
Okay.
It's like, yes, it's already set. No one can tell you what it is. So you go, you find it. Yeah.
I think we really need some whiskey at this point. But anyway, yeah.
But
I'm seeing your point.
Somehow of like an endeavor to like ponder or be on awe to. It's like I can't tell you what it is, but I can guide you.
So why can't you tell me what it is?
It's your own journey to find it. Because
you can't find it than the journey itself.
If I can tell you that this is meaning,
that's too easy.
No, it's not that it's too easy. I'd have the power to control you.
Wait, what do you mean?
As in, let's say the institutions, the people who are in academia, religious, the people who, if they knew what it is, they'd have like the power to control everything.
But do you think they actually know what it is, and that is why they are able to manipulate the masses?
There is a difference between, like we say, a good teacher and a teacher-student relationship. It's like the teacher also learns while teaching you. Remember that it's like a graph is drawn. The student is on this side, the teacher is on this side. So the teacher has the knowledge, the student doesn't have. But if it's just transactional, the teacher is just telling you what to do, the teacher never grows. There is also this idea that in your all endeavors, there are the states of being. If it's not transaction, it's either transactional, one is getting from the other and the other one is not. And the other, both parties are rather gaining from the activities they're getting. So they say that let's say the student-teacher relationship, also the teacher learns while teaching.
And can you tell when a teacher has stopped learning?
Just a minute. While and if the teacher is learning while teaching, that means he doesn't know it all.
But let me ask you, how can you even tell that a teacher
I think the
has stopped learning? Okay, how does it look like?
Have you ever conquered something? You're at the top of it, and then you kind of like, that was it. You start depreciating. You only start depreciating.
It's the journey downhill.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying there is no way the teacher can't like say, I know it all, now let me just tell them what to do.
But I think
it's like for the like we are saying that meaning is like a verb that's such that it's always happening.
Okay, it's something that needs to keep on happening. I think it's our realization of that because especially wacha tu tuseme here in Kenya,
You can't say
sisi wenyewe we've been in these high schools bana. Mwalimu
anakuja na
vitu zingine mi ukumbuka from high school, it just breaks my heart.
kuna mwalimu mwingine hadi nilikuwa I can teach well than you. si know kuna kiburi hapo but some things but
have you ever been taught something and you failed to understand?
Yeah,
Does it mean,
but when I went to read for myself, I was like, hey, it's easy, man.
Oh. Okay.
For me, it's like
so I think so if teachers at all decided if they actually made a choice to ask some of these questions, because right now even as we speak what's the point of this? It's really the point of
what's
this?
the point of pursuit?
Are we just doing it here and for the sake of audience or just
right
having a conversation?
If we knew it all, we couldn't even have started this journey. Because
there's a spirit, I'd say the way
spirit.
There's, for lack of a better word, we really don't know what spirits are really, but in a way I tend to equate a spirit to a mind. It's
a way of thinking.
Only that maybe it's an entity in itself, but anyway, but yes, we can think of it.
I have a question. When God, you've just stated earlier on that Jesus, when the people started saying that he should be king, but he was refusing. You've just started
God during the time of the Israelites.
When Jesus came, they were like, he should be the king of us, nini. They were used to kings, vituka hizo nini.
Yeah, they expected that the Messiah
will be born a king. You see, it's like
ulifanya siari? Kufanya siari. Okay.
It's a form of thinking that is happening. And that's what Jesus came to change. Who told you that nika sisi vile we know our constitution is this? Lest there was a constitution. Is killing wrong?
Okay. There's a difference between killing and murder.
Yeah.
So we can say murder.
Let's say just crime. Any form of crime.
Yeah, it's wrong.
But who will say that this is wrong without a constitution?
Well, I think that the spirit of the Constitution itself is a collective kind of a manifestation.
Just because you have a constitution, does it give you authority that you know what is right or wrong? Let's say we are a congregation of the way the members of parliament go to write the constitution. Go up 5 of us.
Laws.
Then we make a constitution. Then we say, for this community, we will abide by this constitution. What gives you the right to say that this is it? Or rather, do you have the authority or right to say this is what the constitution is?
I'd say, okay, I think there are different layers to understanding that. Because there are things that are really
that's
in our hands.
That's another topic for another day.
There are things that are truly in our hands. That I think that is what the Constitution truly describes. The things that are mutual universally.
There is this idea that any constitution that is drafted or written, the more aligned it is to the truth or rather reality, the more the people abiding by that constitution usually mutually benefit.
Aligned to the truth. So that's a question. What is truth? I think that's what Pilate was
what is meaning?
So now meaning can also be equated to what is true. What is the truth? Yeah. And is that dependent on...
No, it's not dependent on my
As in
it's like a paradox.
Okay.
You remember the understanding through... Yeah. It's like... Yeah, nobody can exactly pinpoint what it is, but we can gather and say this is not it.
But we can't say what it actually is. But
Yeah.
we can say,
It's like
we can say what it isn't.
It's indefinite. And that's what brings the possibility of everyone like exploring their own paths.
Yeah, the sense that we're all unique.
That's why you
We're
can't
made
say that you can't say that definitely because somebody is married that they have meaning in their marriage. Or rather they found meaning in their marriage just because you're married. Or rather you can't say that the person who is single that he doesn't have meaning because they are not married.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. But again, let me come back to my bias.
Yeah.
Why does it seem to me that even as we get close to understanding what meaning is, just like you've put it, doesn't mean that because they're in a marriage they have found meaning, or if someone is single, hana meaning. I think these are the consequences of a fallen state. They are the consequences.
Yeah. Yes.
Again, this is my personal bias.
Yeah, actually this
I think that is so true.
This
That is why
it's like the way we stated. Yeah, we might start on a wrong foot, but that doesn't mean that we won't eventually get there.
Yeah, because whatever we've talked about so
Actually,
far.
it's like the people who like are successful. They always when we always ask for the ingredients of success, they always like, don't do this. They always do something contrary to the beliefs of the society per se at that time.
Okay.
Look like there's somewhere I read that you wanna know where the truth is. Look something that's very popular among the what's trending right now.
Come again?
As in let's say we are like many people. What's the term for that?
Many people.
Yeah. Look for what's popular among them. Then start like, is it really it? Most of the times you will find that the truth is in contrary to what's popular what is the most popular at that time. It's like right now we are celebrating the tech advancement, but one of the figures in tech said that how did he find like the idea, or rather the spark in it? So he just looked at what was popular at that time, decided to do what's different.
Not what's contrary.
Yeah.
The truth is always what's contrary to popular opinion.
Not always, but
more often than not.
Yeah, as in it's more likely. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think of this statement? Do you think that meaning can be found in suffering?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that is actually true in a fallen state.
Yeah, but you found it at what was not that popular. It's like, this generation of ours, we resent suffering. And we don't like the idea of suffering. Yeah.
Anyway, nani anapenda kuteseka? I mean,
yeah, but
I think the kind of suffering we're now talking about.
Remember this
challenge.
CEO of Nvidia said that, I hope suffering and nini happens to you.
I think alikuwa anaambia Harvard students even.
Yeah. Why?
But sometimes I think we also need to be very, very careful. Unajua tukisema
don't
we embrace
stupidly.
suffering.
No,
yes, the suffering stupidly.
Yeah,
but I think
because of your own stupidity.
kuna hii sense the challenges that we decide to take on ourselves. I think that is what most of us
so
atutakangi pursue challenges.
Do the challenges give us meaning? And are there hierarchies in challenges?
Yes. kwanza tuanze na the first statement. Do challenges give us meaning? Now there's
Is
something there.
is
Unajua kuna
marriage
mtu
at-
anapitia challenges
yeah.
lakini sasa anataka tu hii challenge iishe.
It's because of their own challenges ama some suffering. It's because of our own negligence and stupidity. Leave alone that.
So the kind of challenges
As in,
we are
you're
talking
just
about.
getting punished for your stupidity. Yeah, that's different kind of suffering.
So the kind of challenge that we're talking about, Nile, that
This-
sort of calls us to be better.
Yeah, to be
Unajua,
more.
of course, okay, something that calls you to be better, ama something that always questions kitu you could question. More often than not, it's something that's very uncomfortable, something you don't want to do.
Yeah, something.
Have you ever-
have you ever found thrill in doing something that you don't want to do?
No.
Maybe I've ever.
Kusema ukweli mimi kitu yenye sitaki kufanya, something I actually know that is of benefit,
Yeah.
more often than not, kusema ukweli I don't enjoy it, but
Yeah,
I
true.
say I'm personally in that state where I'm really trying to do something that is very, very challenging to me. I'll give you an example from personal experience. I think a time came let me use a relationship. A time came where I think it was occurring to me that the best way that I could have a successful relationship is if I sort of killed what I used to know about how relationships work,
Your perception
and
of
try to think of other ways that probably could make my relationship successful.
Will you say that your perception of it was wrong? I'm putting you on the spotlight.
I think I was stupid in a way. First, stupid in the sense that I didn't know much.
Yeah.
You know, there's not even. I'd say I was ignorant, and I think a majority of us were truly ignorant. You know, there's a difference.
can we-
there are two words.
so
allow me to put for these two words. There are two words here. Kuna ignorance, na a certain word known as nations.
Oh yeah.
NESCIENCE. Ignorance is so you have a body of information and you rather actually choose that ni kama this reminds me of Saint Paul. Saint Paul anasema I want to do the right thing but I can't. I think
Also,
especially
I think
sisi young people, we are normally in those situations where
Also, I've ever asked you a question. Your will versus God's will. It's like
your will
your
versus
perception
God's
of
the
meaning.
right thing versus what you want.
we come back to the perception of meaning. Let's say you really want to be successful in this career. Is that your will, or rather how do you know that that's your will and not God's will?
Nakumbuka nilisema I think still in light of my bias, I think there are layers to it. There are things that I think we need actually in our hands that we can actually handle, but again what makes those things relevant is that if we actually anchored in the pursuit of meaning. Like unapata some of the things that we really do, some of the things that we experience in society, they are not anchored in that pursuit of meaning. That is why it is the way it is.
I'd say they have a sort of anchoring in it. It's the idea of like we have,
but it's the wrong anchor.
No, it's not wrong. The idea of like frequency physics. You see, the more aligned it is, the more vibration it has on it. So it's like some other pursuit in life, will give you some sort of meaning, and it will align you to the truth, or rather what reality is. But for you to get the highest vibration of meaning in your life, you can't find it in some other pursuits, because the alignment and with meaning deeply can't be found there. It's the idea of like we have two graphs. One has more frequencies and the other has lesser frequencies. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So
there are certain pursuits that can actually lead you to meaning.
Yeah.
But there are others that... I think that's exactly...
As in, there's some other pursuits which when you delve in, they really get you to the core of what meaning is. You are like,
but do you really ever know? I'm trying to think of the kind of a person who I think for you to actually even conceive that there is anything like meaning, you have to sort of think, you have to ask questions. But I'm thinking of sasa sisi wenye tunauliza maswali alafu
I don't think you, cause I'm like, if we had meaning, I'd say we wouldn't be suffering. Let's say whatever you're suffering right now. You earlier stated out that your relationship vituka hizo. So it's like, if you are totally aligned to what really it is, it will be a different story from what it is.
But let me ask, because I'm thinking in these terms, unapata. So you have someone mwenye, again, I really believe that for you to really, let me say, to really get started in the pursuit of meaning itself, you first have to start asking questions.
Yeah.
But now I'm asking now, kuna mtu mwingine mwenye yeye ana move to the life. Yeye anajua wacha nikimaliza high school nafaa niingie kampo nipate job, nikitoka kampo nitafute masters nipate PhD, apate kazi, apate familia, apate nini.
Have you ever followed that route? It in a part of your life. Have you ever followed such a route?
Yes.
Of
course.
In my course, somehow funny, I always end up suffering. So I'm like, yo, you're suffering. You need, as in, you'll be it's like you're always being cornered to like search for it. So you can't just sit there and just say I'm just flowing with the vibe, or rather I'm in the flow.
And I think for people, unaona hivi venye umesema that umekuwa cornered, I think how it happened to me, if there's one significant thing,
it's the idea of doubling down.
The one thing that can actually get you on the path to the pursuit of meaning is suffering. Unaona wakati umegongwa na maisha,
and then you're like, yo, did I really need to suffer the way I'm suffering now?
But you don't get to choose how things are gonna turn out for you. You really don't get to choose that. Especially now. Unaona vile kidogo tu unaona vile tumekuwa raised in our societies.
Yeah.
I think how to think or even how to ask questions is something we totally lack.
Yeah, true.
So unapata wewe
you say we were told what to do, not how to do it?
Yes. Sasa how it happened to me, and I think a pretty nini watu kadhaa, unaona kigongo na shida vizuri, if you don't break, it will get you on a path to start understanding.
It can you as in, when you're cornered, you can either choose two routes. The route of ignorance, kwa kwa kichwa ngumu tu regardless, and actually think that leads to like psychopathies, things
sasa,
like that.
Ulini cut short by the time fulani. I was saying about ignorance na nations.
Yeah.
Ignorance is where you have a body of information and you actually rather choose to go against it or do things that are contrary to it. But nations is where totally you don't have access to any kind of information. And it's very sad.
But you will suffer
most of us,
nevertheless.
But you just suffer.
Yeah, it's there is this example which I found so funny. Let's say you are down a cliff with a child, and the child amena kwa cliff. Will the child fall just because the child doesn't know that there is something like the law of gravity? Huyo child akifika kwa cliff atasema hiyo ajui? Hapana.
Ni kama what law itself doesn't care. The law of gravity doesn't care.
It's not care. That it doesn't care.
It doesn't care. Hawezi sema sasa sababu ni mtoto, let me stop being gravity. It doesn't do that. I think
so regardless of whether you know it or you don't know it, meaning is.
Yes.
There is this nini of the Bible says, those who arc their temples or tents.
Or if you build your house on solid rock, a solid foundation.
What
was
it really being pointed to in that text? I think they were pointing to meaning.
At this moment, now you've clearly actually stated that meaning also equates to obedience and submission to the word and the will of God.
Yeah.
Because kulingana na hiyo verse. Okay. Kulingana na hiyo verse, those who build their house, those who hearken to God's word are like, I think it's God's word. They are like msee mwenye alijenga nyumba on solid rock.
Yeah. And the other one built their name.
Huyo kwa sijui sand. So mvua ikikuja
it also brings the idea that regardless of the possibilities and probabilities that there is in life, there is that which is and will
there's just something that needs to remain constant.
Not needs. Is.
Yeah. There's something that is constant.
Yeah, regardless of.
And that is what matters.
Yeah. And if you don't arc yourself or rather your life in it, woe unto you.
Chaos.
Suffering.
Wow. But still okay, I'm just trying to ask different kinds of questions.
It won't be special kumalizia tu. It won't be special to you just because you don't know that there is something like that which is the example which I gave with the child. Gravity won't stop being there just because the child doesn't know that gravity isn't that what gravity is. Just because you don't know there is something like meaning and you should act unto it doesn't mean that the world or rather reality will bend its rules to you.
So it's actually you to submit.
Yeah.
But
there you can people may be tempted to ask, is it really submission or you're forced to like anchor yourself to it?
I think just align yourself.
If there is free will. But I think people don't understand what free will is. It's let's say I told you go play, but there is something like gravity. Yes, I've given you free will.
Freedom. You've given me freedom, not free will. You've just allowed me to do.
Yeah, but there is gravity.
Yeah, but that's not free will. Free will.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, the way so far I understand it, this is just my opinion. The way I understand free will. Okay, it's not a particular definition I wanna share, but I think one way you will understand what free will is.
Yeah.
It always demands that you ask the question of, is it aligned to the truth? Now, kulingana na Biblia, is it aligned to the word of God? That is what free will is. Because if all these laws and all these principles are there, you just don't have a choice. You don't have a choice in terms of you need to choose to go against it.
But you can choose to go against it.
The Bible says, like I present to you life and death.
Yeah.
Good and evil.
But
choose.
You can pick death.
True.
Who and you?
So you just need to be aligned. And now it is up to us to now understand what are these laws, what are these principles.
Yeah, most of us, even me, myself included, I feel like we really don't know what reality is and what is. That's why we end up in the situation.
But I think the one thing that is constant, especially from a conversational point of view, let us keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And with that, next time.